the land, joepags.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, all right there. Also Newsmax TV. It's the Joe Pags Show. Glad to have you along for the ride. Really glad to have with us today Dr. Warren Farrell. He is a PhD. He's also an author. He's got his latest book is called The Boy Crisis, which you can see the product placement behind you, which I think is wonderful. It's been out since March, and I urge people to go and get it. Doctor, how are you?
I'm good today. Thank you.
You know, it's a pleasure to have you on. Before we started, I asked you if we could still do the interview with me being as masculine as I am, and you seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, I was sort of caught between a rock and a hard place there. I say no. Yes, it was either way.
So you know, I make light, of course, because it's so extremely stupid that we're calling something that is inherently male toxic. In other words, we have to take the testosterone, the thicker bones, the thicker muscle bodies away from men, and then we'll get rid of the toxicity. Is that the message we're sending, Doctor?
Well, first of all, it's a really sad message because, you know, the focus of the hashtag #MeToo and the American Psychological Association and the Gillette ad have all, you know, made the news recently with associations of masculinity with toxicity, and without the associations of masculinity with why are we not speaking German under Nazi rule now? It's because millions of men died all around the world to make sure that we wouldn't have to. Why are we? Look at the houses we're in. They're built by men who, at 1 man per hour, workday hour, die on construction sites, and thousands are injured during any given week period. And we're not honoring the protection that men have given the feminist movement. And I say this as somebody who used to be on the board of directors of the National Organization for Women in New York City, so I'm not anti the original purposes of feminism, which was to expand the options for women. But the feminist movement has taken men's obligations and responsibilities that we've done over the years, and if we had more men die, and as a result of that we had more men generals because more men took the obligations of being willing to die, suddenly we're then accused of, oh, we are dominating the world with all these men's generals, and we're called as being part of the patriarchy. And what's happening is, since the Boy Crisis book has come out, I'm having thousands of parents write to me saying, I have a son, and he's in junior high school, and he's already hearing in junior high school, 7th grade, masculinity and toxicity, the patriarchy. And the patriarchy, Dr. Farrell, is not said to be something that contributed some positive things to the world. You could argue what the definition of a patriarchy is, but from the teacher's perspective, it's a group of men made rules to benefit men at the expense of women, and the world was dominated by a patriarchy. And he doesn't understand that the world was dominated by a need to survive. And dads made more money than moms. Yes, they made more money because they made more sacrifices to earn money. By the way, I did a book before this on why men earn more, what women can do about it. And what I discovered is that men earn more. It's not men that earn more than women. It is dads who earn more than moms.
Well, that's
and
interesting.
Dads earn more. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And dads that never married women, who have never had children, out-earn men by 117%. But it's only when a man becomes a dad that he says, okay, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be an artist.
I want to ask you about that because I think it's a very interesting angle. It's Dr. Warren Farrell, Farrell, PhD. Go and get his book called The Boy Crisis. That's interesting to me. Is there something inherent inside of men? I've got 5 daughters, so I'm not raising a boy, but I, of course, was a boy and was raised by a man and was raised by a woman as well. And they both said, hey, grow big muscles and be big and tall and strapping, and women will find that attractive. And you can also hunt and gather, and you can support and protect those that you love. And I do that with my 5 daughters, with my wife, and of course with my mother and my sisters. Having said that, you said something that really jumped out at me. When you become a father, is there something inherently human and male that says, now I must earn more, now I must protect more, now I must hunt and gather more?
There seems to be something inherent in males that when we hear that we are needed, we come to protect. And so when each generation, as you know, had its war. And during that war, oftentimes fathers and mothers, but especially fathers, said, son, we need you to, help protect, and you can serve your country, and this would be of honor to you, and you will be you could potentially be a hero, like maybe your grandfather who's in a Marine uniform on the mantle, and the picture's always there, sort of giving you that that inspiration to be a hero. And what's missed? So whenever we are needed, and when we're first needed in life is when we're a dad, and when we see that we have and our family needs the money to live in a good neighborhood, to send our children to good schools,
right,
and so on. And so even if we were purposeless before that, or not purposeless, but maybe we were wanting to become a famous musician or an artist or an author, but we realize that, as a rule, jobs that that are fulfilling pay a lot less, and we can't afford to be self-centered anymore. We have to be other-centered, and so we therefore sacrifice that job that pays less in order to get a job that pays more, usually a job that we like a lot less that pays more. And so that is
it really is sort of a switch in our heads as men. I mean, it really is something that we can't change even if we wanted to. We click into responsibility mode, protection mode, feed mode, and this is my clan now. I must take care of them. It's Dr. Warren Farrell, PhD. Do you have an opinion as to why we got here? Why the hatred for men? And why is it that as you said so eloquently, why is society as a whole, Madison Avenue especially, ignoring all the good men have done? Why is it somehow beneficial to them as a razor company or fill-in-the-blank company to say men bad, women good, now we'll sell more razors? How did we get here?
Well, first of all, corporations will always do what sells more, and so they are the outcome. They're what comes afterwards.
Okay.
And the real thing is, what's the foundation that got us here?
Yeah.
As you were implying. And what happened with us in the feminist movement is we, as women, started to well, let me go back actually to how how I found what I found. So I first, and then how I confronted the feminist movement, and they confronted me.
Yeah.
I first found that boys all around the world that were having problems were boys located in 63 of the largest developed nations, and all of those developed nations, boys are falling behind girls very significantly in every academic subject, and especially in reading and writing, which are the two biggest predictors of success. Okay. And so I started asking, and then boys who don't do well, like in school, they're far more likely to drop out of school, of course. They are likely to, at 20% plus level, not likely to be employed when they're in their early 20s. That leads them to feeling purposeless, ashamed of themselves, oftentimes moving back into their parents' home, which does not, when they're out trying to pick up a connection with a woman and they say, well, we seem to have a wonderful connection here, let's go back to my house. I don't think my parents' house is really that enticing to go back to it. So it's a loser signal.
Right.
And so the boys often start feeling that they're ashamed of themselves. They withdraw into video games and become addicted. They withdraw and a little bit later into porn. The porn addicts their brain to dopamine, that is the feel-good drug. So it gets stimulated by taking more and more risks with artificial women. And then the real woman comes into the picture, and she feels like she's an object, and so she withdraws. So he withdraws into more video game addiction. That often leads to depression, suicide. So the suicide rate of males in their early 20s is 6 times what it is females in their early 20s, and that's gone up while women's has been pretty level. The life expectancy of boys and men have gone down as boys die at a 2-to-1 level.
Doctor, is that on purpose? I mean, is that what these people who are like anti-men, toxic masculinity haters, is this what they want? Because again, you're right. I'm for feminism in that I want my 5 daughters to succeed to their wildest dreams, and I want them to get equal opportunity with men, provided it's equal physically. There are some jobs that are physically strenuous that men can do easier than women because nature. But having said that, I want them to have equal opportunity without a doubt. How did we get from, and this will probably have to be the last question, I'll have you on again because we're already almost at 10 minutes, but how did we get from burning our bras and we want equal opportunity and we want to compete equally with men because men agreed with that, many of them, to where we are today, that to achieve that we must denigrate and lower the importance of men in our society, because that really isn't working. It isn't.
Yes. But a number of things happened simultaneously. A lot of feminists were sort of socialist feminism, and Marxism and socialism evolved from oppressor versus oppressed. So many of the feminists they saw men as the oppressors because we earn more money and women as the oppressed because they earn less, as opposed to realizing that the earning of more money was an obligation and fulfillment of responsibility,
Right.
as opposed to being an oppressor over women.
Right.
And we men have to take responsibility. We didn't stand up like men and confront that and say, listen, this is not what our earning more is about, and this is not what it's about feeling more obligations. You want us to earn less? Great. You support the family economically, and I'll take care of the children.
Right.
And actually, when that arrangement happens, by the way, as long as the women are okay with it, the children do extremely well under those circumstances.
Sure.
And so that's part of the reason. Another part is the freedom of women. So when I realized that all around the world in those 63 countries I was describing before, what was happening with boys was that they didn't have dads. In all 63 of those countries, there were divorces, or in 53% of women under 30 who have children in the United States had those children without being married. When they
what is the percentage? 53%?
53% of women under 30 who have children in the United States have children without being married. And
we're a society that somehow teaches them that's fine, that's perfectly normal.
Yes, and the problem with it is that when you don't have a woman who's married and she's young, what ends up happening is the children end up not having a father involved in the family in most cases.
Wow.
Either the woman, sometimes the children don't even know the dad. Other times they know the dad, but he's not around very much. Other times the father and mother are living together when they have the child. But even in 40% of those cases, children by the age of 3 to 4 already do not have their dad around. And it's in those families I discovered when I did the research for the boy crisis that was in those families. Those families are what I came to call dad-deprived families.
Right.
And in those families, that's where the boys were in a crisis.
Well, we're going to have to hook back up again very soon, Doctor. We're already almost 12 minutes in, and I could keep on going for the next 2 hours. It's very, very interesting, and I think that society needs to hear what you have to say. The name of the book is called The Boy Crisis. His name is Dr. Warren Farrell, Farrell, Ph.D. He's written this book. It's been out for about 10 or 11 months. Go and get it right now. He's written several other books as well. I really appreciate the time and the knowledge. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking with you.